Simon, it seems that we can hardly get through 3 hours in the morning these days without talking about Saudi Arabia, not once, not twice, but numerous occasions. And now you talk about figures being bandied about. I mean, Erling Haaland, 51 million quid City paid for him. Maybe it's true. Maybe he's on as much as 800 grand a week. Why wouldn't it be? He is one of the best, if not the best, in that position in the world right now at the tender age of 22. How do we get our heads around what the Saudis are prepared to pay Lionel Messi? Because now we know it's all but done for him at PSG. I was messaging your friend of mine, Nasser Al-Khelafi, last night. He's travelling today, so I think he's got a whole bunch of things to sort out, as PSG fans were demonstrating in numbers last night. Anti-Messi demonstrations. They only finished up at the stadium, then apparently went round in Paris to Neymar's pad and had a demonstration outside his house as well. He's not even being spoken about in terms of going to Saudi Arabia yet. But the deal involving Messi could be in the region of $400 million annually. Now that would exceed the $165 million that Ronaldo's been paid annually to play in Saudi Arabia. And the way the Saudis do it, apparently, is that once it's done, the government, once the money aspect of it is tied up, because the government pinpoint the club that player will go to. So, I mean, Al Hilal, it looks like the destination for Messi.
Okay. On
that ridiculous amount of 400 million per annum. But I mean, Simon, where on earth is this going? Where on earth is it likely to end? Paris Saint-Germain, who of course have forked out considerable amounts of money, have condemned their own fans who gathered outside Neymar's home last night and chanted for him to leave the club. And I say he's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, this attitude that the Parisian fans seem to have to the ownership of PSG does beggar a little bit of belief, but that's a different discussion.
What is Saudi Arabia becoming in terms of football?
It's becoming what China became a few years ago, which was ultimately a destination for footballers at the end of their career to get paid a large amount of money by playing in not particularly competitive football. But what it does is, in the Saudis' mindset and the KSA mentality, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is that they're determined to have competitive leagues. So they've got a marketing campaign. So they bring people with big names that are going to draw big attention to them and ultimately garner and gain a level of recognisability and a bit more of a draw and maybe up the standard that's there. At the end of these careers, Ronaldo and Messi, the figures are just ridiculous. They are, you build businesses, you employ thousands of people and you add value into the world, and that these footballers are getting this kind of money, but I guess that's the nature of the beast, right?
Will it last? It didn't last in China.
No, I don't think it will. I think at the end, I think the Saudis, whilst that they've got this, I mean, you know, the amount of money that the Saudis and the Middle East are producing is beyond comprehension. I was talking to someone the other day about the balance of deficit against income and cost of the country, and they've got something like 3.5 trillion excess on their budgets, and that's projected to last for the next 35 years in terms of the oil reserves they've got. So when we're talking about our countries that are running up national debts, right, trillion of running up national debts, the Americans have got an enormous national debt, we've got an enormous national debt, they've got a surplus of trillions. Trillions
in the black,
the kind of money they've got is beyond comprehension. So in the sports field, in order to kickstart it, because it's not a natural space and a natural place, it doesn't have the livery or the legacy or the talent pool. The way you get it is you buy it. And these scales that we're talking about, because you wouldn't go and play football in Saudi Arabia if you were Ronaldo unless you were paid the amount of money you're being paid now.
Of course.
So that's the shot in the arm that they want. It's not something, the optics of it I don't like. Not just the optics of it, the reality of it I don't like. But I don't
is it going to be more than a highly paid retirement home?
No.
Is this going to, I mean, 10 years from now, are we going to be talking about Erling Haaland playing in Saudi Arabia?
No, because they won't, because if there's any sense in football, they will get together and they will eventually light upon a landscape that has worldwide governance about what football clubs can and can't lose and how they can and can't build businesses. And also the Saudis, despite this ridiculous wealth, they do want things to be economically viable. They do want businesses to be successful businesses and successful in their own merit and successful by the very nature of the fact that their businesses alongside that they are sporting assets that they can lever for whatever methodology they want. In this instance, we cannot begrudge a country wanting to promote its own sport and utilise the value of the opportunities that have been created elsewhere, i.e. talent of footballers that are coming to the end of their career. So with that in mind, the scale is the thing that we find offensive. It is offensive. It is.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's not a football. Well, it's not a footballer that's worth £300 million a year. Well, he is, because he's worth £300 million a year to the Saudis. And that's what they're having to pay to get footballers to come and play in their country. So you actually feel quite sorry for them.
£320 million deal.
I mean, what a wonderful life being a footballer is at the top of your profession, because it's now moved into the territory where you can put yourself into being a billionaire by kicking a bag of wind around. And that's the reality of what we've got to. But it is what it is. And you could turn around and say reading lines as an actor has got you in a position where you can earn a lot of money. But this has gone beyond the pale now. And that's a scale and opportunity that football has. So when we talk about the NFL and teams and opportunities like that, or competitions like that, it gets dwarfed by football. I just think, actually, the flip side of the argument, you could say, how sad is it that you've got to spend £300 million on one player, because that's the only way you're going to get them to come and play in your leagues? But
it's staggering.
I don't think it will last forever.
No. I mean, it really does leave you open mouthed that this is going on. The picture in the Times this morning as well, with Messi and his wife and boys visiting a stable of horses in Saudi Arabia, and all the time back in Paris, allegedly they're saying, where is he? We lost that game. He could go to Saudi Arabia if we'd won it, but he lost the game. Where is he? He hasn't gone, has he? Standing there, but who wouldn't have a smile like that if you're going to be earning the money that you're being told you're about to earn?
He's already in a position where finances have been resolved. So this is just an opportunity. You can't. I mean, on one hand, I don't admire it. On the other hand, I understand it, because what would most of us do?
You would say yes to it.
Well, of course. If you're a professional footballer and you're coming to the end of your career and someone's fool enough to offer you 300 million quid, you're not going to turn around and say no, are you? You're reaching the end of your career. You've had 2 years at Paris. Your sell-by date's gone. You've won your World Cup. You've won everything there is to win. You've won the Ballon d'Or countless times. You've won the Spanish leagues. You've won the Champions League.
Nothing left.
Yeah. So why don't you go and get a big bag of money and finish it all off?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.